all of us are screwed from training at the moment, so we're not going to go that heavy. But it's a big staple strongman event, deadlifts, okay? We try and make sure you're deadlifting properly. Deadlifting is quite a simple exercise, but do it wrong, it can hurt. You see a lot of guys in strongman competitions looking horrible, and I'm probably one of the worst in a competition for hitching and looking like you're in trouble. I don't recommend you do that in the gym, but I try and avoid it at all times in the gym these days. But in a competition, you do what you need to do. In the gym though, keep it solid. You know, the point of training is to peak for a certain time. If you're an athlete and you're competing in competitions, you should be looking to be at your best for certain competitions. I look through the year and I've got like a few competitions planned out where I want to be at my best. Terry does, Rob does, okay? Look at the top guys in the world. And not just strongman, any sport. You know, you can't be at your best 365 days of the year. So you need to be planning and training to make sure you're at your best when it counts. There's so many different deadlift routines out there. I quite like the Cohen-Philippi routine, which really works well for me. I adapted it slightly to suit myself. But basically the principle of that is a lot of speed work, a couple of heavy sets beforehand, and then lots of assistance work afterwards. We've got, are you keeping the deadlift? Yeah. Okay, we'll all go through because we're different body shapes and everyone lifts differently. The basics, okay, you need to be trying to stand shoulder width apart. Bring the bar in close to your body. Try and, actually all three of us have fairly strong legs. I really try and sit back into my deadlifts to really get a good forceful drive into the floor to get the bar off the ground. Then once it's over the knees, try and pull through with the hips, contracting the glutes, okay? Pulling the shoulders back to finish with. If I go through it, I'll do it slowly. Head up. I'm so inflexible that that's about as far as I can look up. Some of you can do better. Heavy drive, I'm trying to almost force the floor away from the bar, okay? Once it's over your knees, then pull through hard, shoulders back, lock down, down, force. Don't bounce in training, okay? Bouncing's okay at certain times, but it actually makes the lift off the floor a lot easier, okay? And you probably think your max is better than it is if you bounce too much. And I don't know many competitions that allow bouncing, and if they do, the athletes usually try and put a stop to it anyway. And certainly in strongman competitions, when you've got like a car or something like that, world's strongest man always going to stop. Dead stop. I've done a few rubbish competitions where people can get away with it. But if you train, make sure your training's hard, the competition will be easy. Nice and simple. Okay, so I tend to, with the lightweights, I go double overhand, because a lot of times strongmen go out to use straps, so I will use straps in training to allow them in competitions. If not, I do go into reverse grip, which is very simple. The same idea. Pull through, head up, down.
I try and pull all my weights as fast as possible. One, it gets your brain working in that way and your body working in that way. So even with, I mean, it's a bit difficult with 60 kilos, but I'll be starting, so as Loss said, against your shins, head up, keep your back in a good position, on fast. So you're not like this, you know, all this. Even on your warm-ups, almost put it as fast and explosive as. And when you go up to the big weights, you'll still carry on lifting at that same sort of speed, it will be easy. That's what I think.
I would totally agree with that. In fact, not just on deadlift, on anything. If you lift a certain way, you should be doing the lightweights the same as you do the heavyweights.
Yeah.
It just kind of
as explosively as possible.
Gets the kind of muscle memory to realise how you train. Obviously, if you're trying to train for speed, explosive power, you're developing the fast twitch fibres. And you know, if that's the way you lift, then stick with it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm getting quicker, but I'm the opposite, aren't I? So
yeah. Well, you're stronger than me in areas of lockout.
So.
Actually, if you watched mine and Rob's two-man deadlifts, they're usually quite fun because we'll start down here, I'll fly up to my man, get stuck, and wait for Rob to catch up, and then Rob catches up and then pulls through, and then I have to catch him up.
Yeah, pretty Laurent, aren't you?
But it works.
It is on YouTube.
Should we put more weight on? I train my core for all events, because in strongman, if you don't have a strong core, if you're carrying like big weights like the yokes and the frames and those kind of things, you're going to struggle. I do a lot of planks, to be honest, and weighted planks, or I'll get people to kick me as I'm doing the plank, stuff like that. I did planks with like weights on my back, and I don't know if you've ever seen like the TRX kind of machines. They're basically two come down. There's lots of various different things for doing that. But honestly, I think the best thing for core, and I think Terry will agree, is doing things like the yoke, farmer's walk, where and squatting, or squatting without a belt. You know, if you can do those kind of, it's going to strengthen up your midsection. Someone else had a question, I think, as well. Sorry. Suits for deadlifting.
Or do you use suits at all? Or?
You can use them in some competitions in strongman. I can't get on myself with using a full suit. Terry's in a full suit. I use kind of like half a suit. It just gives me a bit of stability kind of around the core when the weights are really huge. But it's a personal preference. If you can use it and you get something from it, then great. I know a lot of guys that can't.
Yeah, it's like Brian as a drill police. They're actually more not in a suit. It's personal preference.
The thing with the deadlift is it's going to give you less than any other suit. Squatting suits, bench shirts give you a hell of a lot on your lifts. But the deadlift, there's certain, like if you lift sumo, which is allowed in strongman, they tend to work pretty well. But I've never seen anyone get that much out of a suit in strongman.
20 kilos. Once you get 20 kilos, maybe deadlift suit. 10's more likely, to be honest. I mean, I personally like to wear one. It just feels so much more stable. Hips feel much more secure. And I feel like I'm going to attack the weight without worrying about that. With the repetition stuff, it's not actually that much benefit, because sometimes they'll cut your breathing off and actually keep you is better than benefit.
Go on, mate.
All right.
We've spoken about the bands already. Bands for deadlifts are good as well. You do reverse bands that help off the floor. So you can put the bands over the top, make the lockout a lot harder. You've had good success with that. I've started using it. It's really starting to help my lockout strength.
Can you put a normal
again, you've got to be careful not to use too much weight.
How much weight can you put to where?
We use kind of like the thick blue bands. I don't know if you've seen them. There's no bands down here, is there?
Your bands? I've got one in my bag.
I've got some.
Have you got some in your bag? No, I'm just going to, I just show it for demonstration, so it doesn't matter. A little bit thicker than that. Green ones are good as well. And I tend to work up to like a 3 rep max, take the bands off, use that same weight, all of a sudden it feels like nothing. You kind of like, it still feels the same from the floor, but it gets to your knees and you go, oh, that felt nice. Do you notice that when you do like?
What's that?
I was just saying, when I do deadlifting with bands, I work up to like a 3 rep max, take the bands away, deadlift the same weight for like a set of 10, it feels like nothing.
It's easy, yeah.
But just, there's so many different ideas you can get. I mean, like we all do things like different. Terry must have trained a little bit similar on a lot of things. Rob's doing got some things the same now.
Yeah, I like bands. I do a lot of lock bands.
You know, but a lot of powerlifters you've changed to good success. There's so many different kind of ways of training. The most important thing is to stick to something. You get so many guys that send you a message and they'll be like, oh, how should I train? And then they'll send someone else a message and say the same thing and they just confuse themselves. You're better off just sticking with one thing for a while. You know, if it's 5x5, which is a simple way of training, just stick to it for 6 weeks or 8 weeks and you'll probably notice some improvement.
Yeah. You're not going to learn if something works in 2 weeks.
No.
It's as simple as that. You've got to put some time into it and see if it works for you. I mean, we've all trained for years now and we know what works for ourselves, but yet we'll still find new things every now and then to try out. The most important thing for me is just being consistent. You've got to stick to something and keep doing it and persevere with it for a little while. Exactly like Ross said, there's no point in doing it for 2 weeks and thinking, well, that's not going to work, I'll ask Rob what he does. Yeah. You've got to stick with something for a little while.
there's going to be times where things plateau as well. It just happens. But always, I mean, because of the way we do strongman, there's so many events. It's very difficult to bring everything up at the same time. You know, I'll work hard on, say I'm working hard on my squats, my deadlift usually goes down because you're trying to focus on something else. And you know, with all the events that we have in strongman, there's too much to just focus on to keep it all getting better. So sometimes when something's struggling, have a little bit of a break from it, work other things. The thing you'll notice with strongman is your back takes a hammering. Everything is back orientated, so it's not a bad idea to stop deadlifting for a while if you're struggling with your deadlifts.
Didn't feel easy.
No, I'm purposely not going to do that. It will be 7.45. 7.45. I don't like going to 5. 1 kilo.